AITA for refusing to help my wife after she said she had outgrown me? I'm Harry, 44, and after 14 years of marriage to Lauren, I had gotten used to being the quiet person in the room. The one who remembered which protein shake made her nauseous, which family dinners gave her anxiety, and which old photos she wanted deleted because she said she couldn't stand looking at herself. I never thought loving someone through her worst season would make me the thing she wanted to erase once she finally felt beautiful. Lauren is 42. When we got married, she was funny, sharp, stubborn, and softer than she liked people to know. She hated being pitted. She hated being compared to other women. She hated cameras more than anything. For years, if someone pulled out a phone at a barbecue or birthday dinner, she would stiffen beside me. Her smile would turn into this tight little line. On the drive home, she would ask, "Did I look huge in that picture?" I always told her the truth as kindly as I could. "You look like you were laughing with your friends." "That's not what I asked." "I know," I'd say, "but it's what I noticed." She would roll her eyes, but sometimes she would reach across the console and squeeze my hand. I wasn't a perfect husband. I worked too much some years. I got quiet when I was stressed. I could be too practical when she wanted comfort. But I never mocked her body. I never made her feel ridiculous for being insecure. I never told her to just get over it. When she wanted old vacation photos deleted because she said she looked awful in them, I deleted them. When she wanted to try meal prepping, I stood in the kitchen on Sundays with masking tape and a marker, writing chicken, salmon, eggs, and rice on containers while she measured everything twice. When she had anxiety before family dinners, I knew the signs. She would change shirts 3 times, then stare at herself in the mirror like she was preparing to walk into court. "You don't have to go," I would tell her. "No, then they'll know I'm insecure." "They already know you're human." "Don't do that." "Do what?" "Make it sound easy." So I learned not to make it sound easy. I learned to stand beside her quietly. I learned when to distract her mother from commenting on dessert. I learned which restaurant booths made her feel trapped and which chairs she hated because they had arms. I learned the tiny map of her shame and tried not to step on any of it. Then, about a year and a half before everything fell apart, Lauren joined a gym. At first, it was just a small thing. She bought a black gym bag and left it by the front door like she was trying to prove to herself she would use it. She went twice the first week, once the next, then 4 times the week after that. Soon, the fridge was full of meal prep containers, her sneakers were always drying by the laundry room, and she started following women online who posted workout videos and captions about discipline. I was proud of her, genuinely proud. One night, she came home sweaty, red-faced, and smiling in a way I hadn't seen in years. "You look proud of yourself," I said. She dropped her keys into the bowl by the door and laughed. "For once, I actually am." I hugged her even though she said she smelled terrible. I remember thinking that this was it, the thing I had wanted for her all along. Not weight loss, not attention, not some dramatic transformation. I wanted her to feel like her own body wasn't a punishment. For a while, it was good, really good. She had more energy. She slept better. She started wearing colors again instead of hiding in oversized black sweaters. She asked me to take photos of her on a weekend morning because she wanted to compare progress pictures, and I almost cried in the kitchen because she didn't flinch when she looked at them. "You're doing great," I told her. She smiled at the phone. "I know. That should have made me happy." And it did. Until "I know" started becoming "you wouldn't understand." It happened slowly. Small things at first. I would make coffee, and she would look at the sugar in my mug and say, "Still doing that?" I would come downstairs in jeans and an old hoodie, and she would say, "You're wearing that?" If I didn't want to go to a gym friend's birthday dinner after a long week, she'd sigh and say, "You don't match my energy anymore." The first time she said that, I thought she was joking. "Your energy is currently yelling at a Tupperware lid," I said, because she was fighting with one of the meal containers. She didn't laugh. "I'm serious, Harry. I'm trying to grow. I need people around me who are growing too." That landed differently. "I'm not against you growing," I said. "I didn't say you were. You kind of did." She snapped the lid shut and put it in the fridge. "You're doing that thing where you make everything about you." After that, I noticed she had a new phrase for everything. If I asked why she came home late, I was projecting. If I said a joke hurt my feelings, I was being defensive. If I asked who Derek was after his name kept popping up on her phone, she said I was threatened by confident men. Derek was one of her gym friends. He was 39, divorced, and looked like he spent more time choosing tank tops than most people spend choosing furniture. I didn't hate the guy at first. He seemed harmless in the way some people are harmless until you realize they live for attention. He commented fire emojis on Lauren's posts. He stood next to her in group selfies. He reposted her stories with things like, "Look who's killing it." Then came Tessa. Tessa was another gym friend, 37, loud, glossy, and always filming something. She called every minor inconvenience a red flag, and every selfish impulse, choosing peace. Lauren loved her. Or maybe she loved how Tessa made everything sound like a comeback story. The more Lauren spent time with Tessa and Derek, the more I became a prop from a life she was trying to edit out. At dinner with our old friends one Saturday, that became impossible to ignore. It was supposed to be casual. For couples, too much food, a bottle of wine someone had brought because the label looked expensive. Maya was there, an old mutual friend who had known Lauren before we got married. Maya was never dramatic. She watched more than she spoke, which made it easy to know when something was off because her silence had weight. Lauren showed up in a fitted green dress I had never seen before. She looked beautiful. I told her that in the car. She glanced at me, then back at her reflection in the visor mirror. "Don't sound surprised." "I'm not surprised. You said it like you were." "I said it like your husband." She closed the mirror. Sometimes that's the same thing. At dinner, everyone complimented her. She took it in like sunlight. I didn't blame her for that. After years of hating every photo, every outfit, every reflection in a store window, I understood why being admired felt addictive. Then someone said, "Lauren, seriously, what's your secret? You look like a different person." Tessa, who had somehow been invited even though she wasn't part of our original circle, lifted her glass and said, "Discipline and dropping dead weight." A few people laughed in that uncomfortable way people laugh when they're not sure if something is a joke. Lauren smiled into her wine glass. Then she said it. "Sometimes you outgrow the person who loved the smaller version of you." The table went still. Not silent, exactly. There was silverware against plates. Someone coughed. Maya looked down at her napkin. My brother Calvin, who had come because he and his girlfriend knew the group too, stopped chewing. I looked at Lauren. "Is that what I am now?" I asked. "A version you outgrew?" Her smile twitched. "Harry, don't be sensitive. It was just a thought." Tessa leaned back and said, "Growth makes people uncomfortable." Calvin muttered, "So does being rude." Lauren heard him. Her eyes sharpened, but she didn't answer. She just took another sip of wine like she had won something. I did not explode. I did not yell. I did not storm out. I sat there, finished my water, and made normal conversation for the rest of the meal because some part of me was still trained to protect her from embarrassment, even when she was the one humiliating me. Later that night, I saw her Instagram post. It was a carousel of photos from dinner. Lauren laughing with Tessa. Lauren standing beside Derek, who had apparently stopped by the restaurant bar with some gym friends. Lauren leaning against a brick wall, her left hand tucked behind her waist so her wedding ring wasn't visible. The caption said, "Becoming too big for old rooms." The comments were exactly what you'd expect. "New era. Queen energy. Finally choosing you." Derek commented, "About time." I stared at that one for a long time. When Lauren came out of the bathroom, I held up my phone. "Where's your ring?" She didn't even look guilty. It ruined the shot. It ruined the shot. "Don't make it weird." "I'm making it weird." She tossed her hairbrush onto the dresser. "Harry, I am allowed to post a picture where my ring isn't the focus." The ring wasn't hidden by accident. She turned toward me, her face already shifting into the expression she used when she wanted me to feel unreasonable. Patient. Tired. Superior. "You know what this is really about?" she said. "You're uncomfortable because other people see me now. I saw you before." "That's not the same." "No," I said. "Apparently not." The next few weeks felt like living with someone who was rehearsing for a role she had already decided I wouldn't play. She changed her phone password. She started taking calls in the laundry room. She deleted notifications before setting her phone down. She kept her social media open around everyone except me. If I asked, "Who was that?" she would say, "A friend." If I asked, "Why are you being secretive?" she would say, "Why are you monitoring me?" If I said, "I'm not monitoring you. I'm asking why my wife is acting like she has something to hide," she would laugh softly and say, "That sentence proves my point." The joint account started showing charges I didn't recognize. A private fitness photo shoot. new clothes, event tickets, subscription add-ons for some training program she said was important for her accountability. I didn't object to her spending money on herself. We had both used joint funds for personal things over the years. But this felt different. It felt like I was financing my own replacement. One night, I was using our shared tablet in the kitchen. We used it for recipes, streaming shows while cooking, and ordering household stuff. Lauren had left it open on the counter next to a stack of clean meal containers. I was looking up a marinade recipe when a notification dropped down from a group chat called 6 a.m. Burn. The preview said, "A man who looks like he belongs next to me now." I froze. I didn't open the chat. I didn't know the password to anything private, and I wasn't going to start hacking my wife like some jealous maniac. But this was our shared tablet, with shared notifications, sitting in our kitchen. I took a screenshot of what was visible. Then I noticed the browser history. Divorce after long marriage. Spousal support when wife earns less. Dating after divorce at 40. Can husband claim money spent before separation? My hands went cold. There are moments when your body understands something before your brain is ready to admit it. I stood in that kitchen, staring at the tablet, with the dishwasher humming beside me and a half-chopped onion on the cutting board, and I knew my marriage had already moved into a room I hadn't been invited into. I called Calvin the next day. He didn't sound surprised. "I told you months ago," he said. "Not helpful." "I know. Sorry. But Harry, she's been turning you into the villain for a while." "What does that mean?" He sighed. "At Maya's cookout, she told people you were struggling with her confidence. Said you made little comments about her clothes and gym schedule." "I never did that." "I know you didn't." "Then why didn't you tell me?" "Because you would have defended her." I hated that he was right. The next week, Maya texted me. "Can you talk?" I stared at that message for nearly 10 minutes before answering. "Sure." She called me from her car. I could hear traffic in the background and the nervous way she breathed before speaking. "I don't want to get involved," she said. "That's what people say right before they get involved." "I know. I'm sorry. What happened?" She went quiet. Then she said, "Lauren is telling people you're controlling." I closed my eyes. What exactly is she saying? That you don't like her going to the gym. That you make comments about her body. That you're jealous of Derek. That you want her insecure because she was easier to love that way. I laughed once, but there was nothing funny in it. Maya's voice cracked a little. "Harry, I'm not sending this to hurt you. I'm sending it because I think she's about to make everyone believe something that isn't true." A minute later, screenshots came through. I sat at the edge of our bed and read them while Lauren's side of the closet stood open in front of me, full of new dresses and old sweaters she no longer wore. Lauren had written, "Harry keeps acting like he supported me, but support can still be a cage." Tessa replied, "Old energy always panics when you level up." Then Lauren wrote the sentence that cut something clean in half inside me. "He was useful when I was broken, but I don't want to spend my best years paying him back for that." I read it 3 times. Useful. Not loving. Not loyal. Not present. Useful. Another screenshot showed Lauren writing, "He won't fight me. He still thinks I'm the insecure girl he saved." Below that, someone asked, "What about Derek?" Lauren replied, "Derek sees me as I am now." Maya sent one more screenshot after that. It wasn't from Lauren's group chat. It was from someone else who knew Derek. Derek had apparently said, "Lauren is fun online, but she's way too serious in real life. I'm not trying to be anyone's next husband." That was the twist I hadn't expected. Lauren wasn't leaving me for a great love. She was leaving because applause had started sounding like a future. I didn't confront her that night. That may make me sound cold, but by then I had learned something important. When someone is building a story around your reaction, the worst thing you can do is give them the scene they need. So I made an appointment with a divorce attorney. Ms. Adler was direct in a way I appreciated. She was 51, sharp-eyed, and did not waste words. I brought bank statements, screenshots of public posts, the shared tablet notification, and the messages Maya had sent. She read quietly. Every few pages, she made a note. Finally, she looked up and said, "Do not argue with her online. Do not threaten her. Do not send emotional walls of text at midnight. Communicate cleanly. Document everything. And stop funding anything you are not required to fund." "I'm not trying to punish her financially," I said. I didn't say punish. I said stop volunteering to subsidize a lifestyle being used to humiliate you. That sentence stayed with me. Over the next several days, I did exactly what she told me to do. Nothing dramatic. Nothing illegal. Nothing hidden that I wasn't allowed to do. I changed my direct deposit to my personal account where legally appropriate. I kept household bills covered. I kept mortgage and utilities stable. But I stopped paying for the extras I had quietly covered because I wanted Lauren to feel supported. The premium fitness add-on. Canceled. The private shopping card linked to my account. Removed. The automatic payment for the photo package she had booked without telling me. Stopped before the next installment. A few streaming memberships she used, and I never touched. Canceled. She noticed on a Thursday. I was making coffee when she came into the kitchen holding her phone. Why was my card declined? I took a sip before answering. Which card? The one for my training program. That was linked to my account. She stared at me. Okay. I stopped paying for it. You stopped paying for it? Yes. Her mouth opened slightly, like the idea had never occurred to her. Why would you do that without asking me? Because you said I don't belong in this part of your life. Her eyes narrowed. So this is revenge. No. It's consistency. You're being petty. I'm being accurate. She stepped closer. You're proving everything I said. There it was. The line she had ready for every situation. I set my mug down. Then we should probably make sure future conversations happen by email. She blinked. What? If we're discussing money, separation, or divorce, email me. I'm not doing kitchen arguments anymore. The color shifted in her face. Just a little. Just enough to tell me she knew I knew more than I had said. That weekend, she went out with her gym friends and came home after midnight. Her makeup was perfect. Her phone buzzed every few seconds. She smelled like perfume and restaurant smoke. I was sitting in the living room, reading a book I hadn't absorbed for the last hour. She stood near the doorway and said, I can't do this anymore. I closed the book. Do what? This. Us. This marriage. This old version of my life. I nodded slowly. Are you asking for a divorce because you're unhappy, or because strangers finally started clapping for you? Her face hardened. You're bitter because I don't need your permission to feel beautiful. I never wanted you to need my permission. You liked me better when I needed you. That one hurt. Not because it was true, but because she needed it to be true. No, I said. I liked us better when you could be proud of yourself without treating me like the receipt from a bad purchase. She looked away first. Then she said, I want a divorce. I had imagined that sentence breaking me. Instead, it made the room very quiet. Okay, I said. She stared at me. Okay. Yes. That's it. What do you want me to do, Lauren? Beg. Something flashed across her face. Anger, maybe. Or disappointment. No, she said. I want you to understand. I do. You don't. I understand that you've been preparing this speech for a while. She folded her arms. I'm not going to let you make me the bad guy because I finally chose myself. I don't need to make you anything. The next week, she invited both families to dinner. She framed it as a mature conversation. I don't want people hearing different versions, she said. I think we should sit down with everyone and explain where we are. That was almost funny. Different versions were exactly what she had been creating. She just wanted hers to be the first one spoken aloud. Ruth, Lauren's mother, called me the morning of the dinner. She sounded gentle but firm. Harry, I hope you're not going to make tonight difficult. I stood in the hallway outside my office, looking at the wall where Lauren had once hung a framed photo of us from our 10th anniversary. She had taken it down 2 months earlier because, in her words, that frame doesn't go with the room anymore. I'm not planning to make anything difficult, I said. She's been through a lot. I know. She's finally feeling confident. I know that too. Then maybe you can love her enough to let her go without punishing her. I almost laughed, but I didn't. Ruth, I said, did Lauren tell you I was controlling? There was a pause. She said you were struggling. With what? With her becoming herself. I looked at the empty spot on the wall. I'll see you tonight, I said. Before I left, I printed the screenshots. Not all of them. I wasn't trying to bury her in paper. I printed the lines that mattered. The ones where she called me useful. The ones where she said I wouldn't fight because I still thought she was insecure. A few public captions. A bank summary of the non-essential charges she had expected me to continue paying. I put them in a plain folder. Calvin met me in the driveway before we walked in. You sure? He asked. No. Good. That means you're still human. Inside, Ruth had made too much food. Someone brought a store-bought pie that sat unopened on the counter. Lauren looked calm, almost bright. She was wearing a cream sweater, gold earrings, and the expression of someone about to deliver a speech she expected people to applaud. We sat around the dining table. Ruth started by saying, "We're here because we love both of you." Calvin made a noise that sounded like he strongly disagreed with the structure of that sentence, but he stayed quiet. Lauren folded her hands. "I know this is hard," she began, "but I've spent years making myself small in this marriage. And over the past year, I've realized I deserve to be seen. I deserve to grow. I deserve to choose a life where I'm not constantly managing someone else's insecurity." Ruth nodded with tears in her eyes. One of Lauren's aunts looked at me and asked, "Are we sure this isn't just Harry being insecure?" I felt Calvin shift beside me. Lauren looked at me with sad eyes that might have worked if I hadn't seen the group chat. "I don't want to attack Harry," she said. "He did love me in his way. But sometimes love becomes control when one person can't handle the other person changing." I waited. She kept going. "I won't apologize for outgrowing a dynamic that kept me small." That was when I placed the folder on the table. The sound was small, but everybody heard it. Lauren's eyes dropped to it. "What is that?" Ruth asked. The part of the story Lauren left out. Lauren's voice sharpened. "Harry." I looked at her. "You chose the public room, not me." Ruth frowned. "What does that mean?" I opened the folder and pulled out the first page. I'm not going to insult Lauren's appearance. I'm not going to talk about her body. I'm not going to bring up old insecurities she trusted me with, because unlike her, I still know the difference between truth and cruelty. Lauren stood halfway out of her chair. "You're humiliating me." "No," I said. "I'm correcting a lie." I read the first message. "He was useful when I was broken, but I don't want to spend my best years paying him back for that." Nobody moved. Ruth's face changed first. It didn't become angry. It became confused, like her brain was refusing to place her daughter's voice inside those words. Lauren whispered, "That was private." "So was our marriage," I said. "You still turned it into a campaign." I read the next one. "He won't fight me. He still thinks I'm the insecure girl he saved." Lauren reached for the paper, but Calvin put one hand flat on the table. "Don't," he said. She glared at him. "This is none of your business. You made it everyone's business when you invited us to watch you bury him." Ruth looked at Lauren. "Did you write this?" Lauren's eyes filled with tears. "You're twisting my words." I slid the paper toward Ruth. "They're printed exactly as written." Lauren's aunt mumbled, "People say things when they're emotional." I nodded. "They do. And sometimes those things reveal the truth." Lauren turned on me then. "You saved screenshots? You planned this." "I planned to stop being lied about." "You were waiting to punish me." "No. I was waiting to see if you would tell the truth without being forced." Her mouth trembled. For 1 second, I saw the Lauren I knew. The one who hated being seen too clearly. Then it vanished behind anger. I looked around the table. I loved her when she couldn't look in the mirror. I'm leaving because now she can't look at anyone without looking down on them. Ruth covered her mouth. Lauren sat down slowly. The rest of the dinner died right there. Nobody ate the pie. Nobody touched the salad. Someone's fork slipped off a plate and made everyone jump. Ruth finally said, very quietly, "Lauren, I wanted to believe you were finally standing up for yourself. I didn't realize you were standing on him." Lauren started crying then, but not the way she cried when she was sad. This was panic. Exposure. The room had stopped obeying the script. Calvin leaned toward me and said, "Leave before it gets uglier." So I did. That night, I slept badly. People think staying calm means you don't feel anything. That's not true. Calm just means you have decided your pain isn't safe in the room. I lay awake in the guest room at Calvin's place, staring at the ceiling fan, remembering Lauren from 10 years earlier crying in a dressing room because a dress wouldn't zip. I remembered sitting outside the door, saying, "We can leave. We don't have to buy anything." I remembered her whispering, "You must be so tired of me." I remembered telling her, "Not tired of you. Tired for you." I wondered if that version of her would hate who she had become, or if this version had been waiting under the surface the whole time. The divorce moved forward after that. Lauren tried to regain control with social media first. She posted a photo in gym leggings, looking off into the distance, with the caption, "Choosing myself, no matter who misunderstands." This time, the comments were different. Fewer fire emojis. Fewer queens. Maya didn't like it. A cousin who had been at the dinner commented, "Choosing yourself doesn't require rewriting who stood by you." The comment disappeared within 20 minutes. Derek disappeared even faster. At first, Lauren tried to lean into him. I know because she told me later, and because people talk. She wanted him to take her to dinner. She wanted him to stop being vague. She wanted the fantasy to turn into a real relationship now that she had burned down her marriage for it. Derek wanted no part of that. His texts, according to Lauren, became delayed and casual. Busy week. Not trying to be part of a divorce situation. I never said I wanted to be anyone's next husband. One night, she called me from a number I didn't recognize because I had stopped answering personal calls from her. I picked up because I thought it might be about a bill or something urgent. She was crying. Harry. I closed my eyes. What happened? Can we talk? Email me if it's about the divorce. It's not about paperwork. Then what is it about? She sniffed. I made a mistake. I leaned back in my chair. In front of me was an open box with ordinary things from the house. Some books, a stack of tax documents, an old coffee mug with a chipped handle that I had used every morning for years. You asked for a divorce, I said. I know. You told people I was controlling. I was confused. You call me useful. She went silent. Then she whispered, I was caught up in everything. That's not an explanation. That's a weather report. I forgot who was there before everyone else started clapping. That one almost got me. I hated that it almost got me. Because I had loved her. Not the way people online talk about love, with perfect lighting and captions. I loved her in grocery stores and doctors' offices and silent car rides. I loved her through sweatpants and panic and deleted photos. I loved her when she needed to be reminded that she was not hard to love. But love does not mean crawling back under someone's foot because they regret stepping too hard. No, I said. You remembered. You just thought I'd still be there after you were done humiliating me. She started crying harder. Harry, please. I know I hurt you. I know I let people get in my head. Derek doesn't even care about me. Tessa just likes drama. My mom barely talks to me without sounding disappointed. I don't know what I'm doing. I'm sorry you're hurting. Don't talk to me like I'm a stranger. You made me one. That's not fair. Neither was building a divorce on a lie. She breathed shakily. Can we pause it? Just pause. We don't have to decide everything right now. I looked at the chipped mug in my hand. It had been in our kitchen for over a decade. Lauren used to tease me for refusing to throw it away. You don't even like that mug, she once said. I know where the crack is, I told her. It still works. For years, I thought that was loyalty. Now I knew some cracks cut too deep. I don't hate you because you changed, I said. I'm leaving because you used that change to make me smaller. She didn't answer. I continued. The smaller version of me would have tried to save you from this. He would have told himself you were scared or confused. He would have swallowed the humiliation because he believed loyalty meant staying no matter what. And now I'm loyal to the truth. The divorce was not instant. Nothing legal ever is. There were emails, documents, asset discussions, tense exchanges, and practical annoyances that made the whole thing feel less like a dramatic ending and more like a long, expensive cleanup. Ms. Adler kept me focused. Do not respond emotionally, she told me more than once. Sometimes I failed in my head. I wrote replies I never sent. I reread old texts from Lauren where she used to call me her safe place. And I almost convinced myself that maybe the ugly version of her was temporary. Maybe the attention had gone to her head. Maybe people deserve grace when they lose themselves. Then I would read the message again. He was useful when I was broken. And my hand would steady. Lauren tried different doors after crying didn't work. Nostalgia first. She emailed me a picture from an old anniversary trip. We were happy here. I replied, please send divorce-related communication through counsel. Then guilt. I hope you're proud of how cold you've become. I did not reply. Then anger. You're punishing me because I became confident. That one I answered after waiting 24 hours. No, I supported your confidence. I'm refusing to support your cruelty. After that, most communication went through attorneys. Ruth called me once, weeks after the dinner. I almost didn't answer, but I did. I owe you an apology, she said. You don't have to do that. Yes, I do. I knew you carried her through some very hard years. I let myself believe a cleaner story because it made me feel better as her mother. I didn't know what to say. She continued, she is my daughter. I love her. But what she did was wrong. Thank you, I said. Ruth sounded older than she had at the dinner. I'm sorry I asked you to let her go without punishing her. I didn't understand you were just trying to leave with your name intact. That apology mattered more than I expected. Maya apologized too. She said she should have told me sooner. I told her I understood why she hesitated. People love to say they want the truth, but they often blame the person who delivers it. As for Tessa, she faded out of Lauren's life once the story stopped being fun. That was predictable. Some people only cheer for your fire while it warms their hands. Derek never became a great villain because he never cared enough to be one. He was not some mastermind. He was just a man who enjoyed being admired by a married woman until consequences asked him to have character. And Lauren? I don't know what she tells herself now. Maybe she believes I embarrassed her. Maybe she believes I gave up too quickly. Maybe some part of her understands that she confused being desired with being loved and confidence with contempt. The last time we met in person before the divorce was firmly in motion. It was at the house, so I could pick up a few remaining things. She was standing in the kitchen, near the counter where the shared tablet used to sit. The fridge was still full of containers with masking tape labels, but they looked different to me now. Not hopeful, just organized. She watched me wrap the chipped coffee mug in a dish towel. "You're really taking that?" she asked. I looked down at it. "Yeah. You always said it was ugly." I said it was useful. The word hung between us. Her eyes filled, but she didn't cry. "I hate what I said," she whispered. "I do too. I was trying to make myself feel powerful." "I know. I didn't think you'd actually leave." That was the most honest thing she had said in months. I put the mug in the box. "I know that too." She folded her arms around herself. For the first time in a long time, she looked small. Not physically, not the way she used to mean it. She looked small because the performance had ended and there was no audience left. "I loved you," she said. "I believe you did," I answered. "In the way you understood love then. And now I think you loved what I gave you more than you respected who I was." She looked away. I carried the box to my car. Calvin was waiting outside, leaning against his truck, pretending not to watch too closely. When I got in, he nodded toward the house. "You okay?" "No." He started the engine. "After a minute," I said, "but I will be." I don't pretend I handled everything perfectly. I was cold at times. Strategic. Maybe too controlled. Maybe some people think I should have fought harder for the marriage or given Lauren another chance once she admitted she got caught up in attention. But there is a difference between forgiving someone and volunteering to be available for the next version of their disrespect. I loved Lauren when she couldn't look in the mirror. I clapped when she finally could. What I could not do was stay married to someone who looked at herself with pride and looked at me with embarrassment. The divorce is moving forward. I keep my communication clean. I don't defend myself to every person who heard her version. I don't post vague quotes. I don't chase mutual friends for loyalty votes. I pack what is mine, pay what I owe, and sleep better some nights than others. That old mug sits on my desk now. The handle is still chipped. The crack is still visible. It reminds me that not everything worn down by time needs to be thrown away. But it also reminds me that some things stop being reparable when someone keeps using them without caring where they break. So, if anyone asks whether I regret refusing to take Lauren back after she left, thinking she could do better, my answer is no. I regret how long I mistook being useful for being loved. I regret how easily I protected her image while she was damaging mine. But I do not regret walking away when the woman I supported through her worst season decided my reward should be public humiliation. The smaller version of me would have saved her from the fallout. The man I am now let her live in the new life she said she wanted. If you like the stories, don't forget to leave a comment and support the channel by subscribing. See you in the upcoming stories.